continuing coverage of Hurricane Sandy. I want to get you to your tropical update in just a moment. Did want to mention something, at least some brand new information here for a lot of folks trying to get to and from, at least just get to where you want to be for kind of hunkering down the next couple of days. WMAL Radio in D.C. reporting that Amtrak canceling all service in the Northeast Corridor on Monday. They do not yet know when that service will resume. So similar to the New York City transit closure at 7 p.m. this evening, you really want to take that seriously. Get down somewhere. Again, make sure that you can at least take cover, and of course want to bring you to the very latest with this system. I want to send it over to our hurricane specialist, Brian Norcross. Brian.
Okay, Todd, new advisory in from the National Hurricane Center. If you're just tuning in for the tropical update, here is the latest information. Now, there are no significant changes. Unfortunately, the storm is right on track. It's been extraordinarily well predicted. The wind's still 75, the pressure 952 millibars, extraordinarily low, challenging the lowest pressure that we've ever had for a storm up in this region of the country. We'll see if it continues to go down, as is forecast, still moving parallel to the coast, well offshore, but significant effects along the coast. Still, this turn toward the coast is forecast for tomorrow, coming ashore with hurricane force winds all up and down the coast, with the center of the storm somewhere in the South Jersey, Delmarva, Delaware Bay area, but the most significant coastal effects north of that into New York City and on up into New England. So all that forecast is the same. Here on the satellite, we see very bright colors here on the left side, indicating intense thunderstorms and heavy rain. Dr. Forbes is here, and he'll be with us in just 1 second. There's one thing I wanted to mention with the storm coming in here into this South Jersey area, and that is this water being pushed ashore on the right side. So there you see, if it comes in there all along the coastline up into New England, the tide time is going to be significant. When we look at Sandy Hook, New Jersey, just south of New York City, you have a high tide at 8:22 p.m. That's kind of representative of a lot of the coastline there. So unfortunately, this looks like it's coming in just about high tide, Dr. Forbes. So we have, not only do we have the push of the storm, and then we have the tide being high, and then we have the full moon on top of it. It's a terrible confluence of events.
Yeah, the storm surge and tide combination is going to be very catastrophic, and potentially widespread winds all the way from the Great Lakes to the Mid-Atlantic to New England. There's going to be some very heavy rain that's going to give flooding as well. Let's take a look. The Sandy is already probably beginning to show its hand here, as we already have a band of heavy rain that is set up all the way from southeast Pennsylvania down across eastern Maryland, down into the coastal parts of Virginia here. That's where the due north winds on the west of that are colliding now with winds that are coming in from the north and east, not just at the surface, but at all levels aloft. So that is already a problem, heavy rain setting up. And even west of there's been enough rain already that we're beginning to get some river flooding. The Monocacy River there, near Frederick, Maryland, now a flash flood warning. It's predicted to go into major flooding. We'll see many other locations that will have that as well. Part of the reason we're having that heavy rain set up where it is, and the reason that Sandy's expected to make that somewhat of a left turn and head up into Pennsylvania, it's because it's beginning to interact with jet stream. It takes a big dip. We call that an upper air trough. There's cold air aloft. In the middle of that, it's what we call a negative tilt to it. Typically, these troughs more often oriented from northeast to southwest. This one the opposite way, northwest to southeast. Out ahead of that, you get very strong pulling apart of the winds aloft that allow the air to rise. That allows you to get a lot of rain. It also makes the pressures tend to lower, so it wouldn't be out of the question if the pressure even gets lower in Sandy yet to come. There is Sandy, predicted to move left and northwest along this stationary front. That front will collide the moisture from the east with the north winds, give that heavy rain and push some of the cool, some of the moist air up over top of the cool air. All told, that's going to mean between now and Wednesday, 4 to 8 inches, probably more like a heavy band of 12 or more inches in many of these areas. This will wind up being somewhat like the flooding from Lee in September 2011 that gave the flooding worse in Pennsylvania and parts of New Jersey. But we can't rule out some of those mountains of New England either, where they will have the upslope flow that will give some local flooding.
So this incredibly heavy rain is kind of left, but we still have rain on the right side, in other words, the north side of the storm. All right, Todd, back to you.
All right, guys, thank you so much. Now, we've talked about some of the most immediate threats. Now, as the system really gets going, we've been talking about some of the cold air wrapping in behind it. We have an incredible amount of snowfall potential out of this storm. You start to feel some of the cooler air getting down to the mountains. Look at that, locally 1 to 2 feet of snowfall. In a few areas there, just east of Beckley, West Virginia, 2 feet or more snow. So again, this is one of the issues. If you lose power, or the places where we still have leaves on the trees, this could exacerbate the situation there. Snowshoe, West Virginia, talking about the potential for 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts with that snowfall in the 1 to 2 feet. And again, we'll continue to track that side of the storm for you. Certainly, we'll be with you